All right, GMs, guys. Man, I get caught up whenever I catch up with Jared. Now, 2 weeks in a row, which is fucking awesome, but he's so fun to talk to. He's got so much insight into stuff, and he's actually got some cool stories from the past week that I'm excited for him to get into here today. Dude, yeah, Lemon, it's kind of part that too. I'm like such a Beanie stan, so I get Beanie on the screen here, and it's kind of game over. Jared, do you like Beanie?
You know, to me, I think it's just their takes are just another data point in the ecosystem. Like, there's a lot of shit posting, but I think if you can peel back some of the shock value, there's I think part of the reason why it is emotionally taxing for people is because there's a vein of truth to some of the takes.
Yeah. Ooh, it's a good way to put it, actually, too. Yeah, that's the thing I liked about him. Man, more and more I'm learning how to separate the engagement farming, right? Like the pure engagement farming and the provoking and all that stuff. It's just part of the space, and part of it's fun and good and entertaining and stuff. But that was the thing that always kind of drew me to Beanie, is I always felt that there was truth at the core of what he was saying. And then, kind of you embellish it and you get a little provocative with it too. But I always felt like most of his takes, even if they were wrong, were coming from a place of truth within him, right? I think he believed what he was saying, and still do for the most part. Lately, as much as I love the dude, I've been feeling like his takes have been a little out of touch. Not this, though. Not what we're looking at right here. This is super interesting. Jared, you sent me this a couple days back and just thought it would be interesting to riff on. And, man, I agree, especially with the spot NFTs are in right now. I mean, clearly, like, we're in a crypto bull market. It's very clear NFTs are not. We're in could we call it a micro bear market for NFTs? It's a really, really weird time where we never really found the bottom in the real bear market, like late last fall. We never found the bottom. And here we are in what should be a really exciting time in a bull market in price discovery mode. Everything is just crumbling right beneath our feet. And I'm wondering how low does it go, and I think we're finding that out live. But this frames everything today, because I do want to talk about the collectible scene. I'd love to get into the IRL collectible scene, comics, cards, everything Beanie's mentioning here, but then get back into NFT collectibles and then art, feeling out just where things are at and what do we think a recovery looks like, and then really what do we think the basic collectors actually is here. Is it speculators like Beanie says, or he says no genuine collectors? And I don't buy that, but I can be persuaded. I really can, because again, we're in a really interesting time right now. So we'll get into that. I want to say good morning to everybody here, though. I was saying before, I do this Inside NFT morning show, by the way, and I just do like a quick market recap. It's such a treat, like first thing of the day, just getting to see my friends from the space who, man, they eat this stuff up right along with me. So here as well, dude, it's great seeing Gravity. Jazz, good morning. Great to see you, man. Lemon, I'd love to give you the first, but I'm giving that to Gravity today. It's good to see you guys. Adam, Swizzer, dude. The Satoshi Nakamoto identity reveal, that's interesting. I don't buy it. If we got time, we should get into that today, too. I don't think it's real. I don't know if you buy it, but there's an interesting thread out there with a guy who said he's exposing who Satoshi is. I think the dude's just pulling people into his Telegram group. That's what I think the purpose of it was, but again, I'm happy to be wrong about that. So really, really interesting stuff. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Quick look at just the NFT market. Let me refresh this real quick, too. Again, if we're going to talk about this interesting time, interesting prices, lows that I don't think anybody was expecting to see, well, then this is the right place to start. It's how low actually are we? Pudgy Penguin's actually having a nice little recovery here in the past 24 hours. I don't know if you caught, Jared, but Luca Nets, his account had a little drama there, actually. His X account was suspended for a couple days there, and he's back now. And he comes back with a tweet copying Roaring Kitty. He's got an Uno card up, the reverse card, which I love. I love the pageantry, right? But he did that, and it coincides with Pudgy Penguins kind of ripping. They were actually up, I think, like 12% this morning. Floor prices bouncing back. Love seeing that. Sometimes I wonder how real that is, but either way, I'll take it. It looks good. But it's CryptoPunks, dude. I'll maybe laser focus right in here at CryptoPunks, which are down to in the 24 ETH range. Shocking. I figured in a bear market, we're going to see these down at 15 ETH, which I think a lot of people didn't believe that. I bet they're starting to now. The fact that we are still in a pretty good time for crypto in general. Again, not NFTs, but the fact that we're here in what should be a bull market, seeing CryptoPunks in the 24 ETH range, and multiple this morning selling for 22 ETH. Bonkers. What do you think about, like, in general, the NFT market right now, and what these some historic PFPs, the prices we're seeing with them now?
So I will say, shout out to Bob Lucas in I think it was Grailers. He said Punk's going to 25 ETH, and everybody clowned. And this is months ago. I mean, months ago. So I think that you know, I think we were all under the assumption, you know, like Raoul Paul, I think popularized this concept of ETH, or like NFTs and collectibles being like a leveraged ETH play, where I think he even used the example of a CryptoPunk. You know, ETH can go to 10,000 and CryptoPunks could triple. So you get a 30x instead of just like a 10x type thing. So I think he kind of popularized that. I still believe that's the case. I think everybody's time horizon is just a little bit, myself included, just for the record, the time horizons are a little bit misaligned. And I think that for me, it's another data point for collecting. I mean, my PFP on X is a squiggle. I mean, there's been some incredible squiggle buys right now. There's amazing collectibles and art buys. So I think that, you know, for the patient, there's a really good opportunity. But the facts are the facts, and the facts are everything's down. In ETH terms, it feels like everything's bleeding, but I'm slightly reinvigorated by the fact that USD floors seem to be holding. And I don't want to get into the USD versus ETH play, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, to see punks below 25, quite frankly, is a little bit surprising. But on the flip side, for those who've been hodling and grinding, whether you're doing the airdrops or the farming or whatever, and you've always wanted a punk, there's a very attractive opportunity. And I think that, you know, for somebody who is punkless and looking to buy punk, I'm excited.
I was just going to ask if you have a punk, and then if not, where's that price where it's too appealing to miss? And I still, like, I've been asking this on all my show to the audience. Same for you guys. What's that price where it's like, no matter what it takes, whatever it takes, this is your chance to grab a punk, and you're going to take it before that opportunity's gone? Because last cycle, I felt like the opportunity was there, and it was a short window. I'm talking a matter of days, and they were still really expensive then, but all of our bags were worth so much more than. But I remember there was a couple days I'm like, oh my God, let me do some numbers. I think if I liquidate everything, and it'll be a ton of work, but I think I could get a punk. And I missed it, right? Missed it. No regrets really, but missed it. This is another one of those moments where I feel like that opportunity may come again, and it may only last a couple of days. So I'm really thinking hard about what's that price where I'm going to consider and maybe make some really, really strong, gutsy moves to make it happen. What's your target? Where is it you just couldn't pass them up?
The problem is I'm conflicted, because if I get a punk, I want it to be like what I call a forever punk. So it's not, I hate to say it, but it's going to be a long-term hold. It's going to be the thing that's locked up in the vault, just like my bold squiggle that you see on screen. So I'm kind of just lurking, ready to find like the right one. It was funny. I found one a little while ago, and I was kind of hoeing and humming back when it was in the 50s. And kind of was like with you. I was like, man, I could liquidate this. I could sell that. And then Punks OTC got it. So I was like, all right, fate just told me I'm not supposed to have this one.
Ain't time yet.
You know, and so to answer your question directly, I don't know. I'm just on the lookout. I have the punks for sale page up. I peruse it every morning. My listings bot has, anytime a punk gets listed, I get notified. So I'm actively looking. I think it's an attractive price point, but I'm just not going to buy anything for the sake of buying it.
Interesting. I have okay, similar approach. Different is in if they fall to a price where it's like, that's my price, I'm gonna take whatever. I realize, like, no matter what, I like that slice of history. I need it. Even if it's not gonna be my forever punk, I hope that's something that over time going forward I can kind of work out deals. And, you know, like, you get in the community, you make friends, you know, I always find that the communities here are just so fucking fantastic, of just really kind, helpful people that I think actually, like, want to help you find your forever punk too. I just noticed the communities are like that. I'm like, I feel like it would work out that way. I don't know for sure, but
That being said, if they get down around 15, I'm like you, where you got to buy one, you hold it, and then if the Forever Punk comes up, you floor it and flip it into
That's
something.
it.
I mean, it's I say I'm holding out, but then at some point you're just like, there's no way this goes lower. I mean, I'm looking at, I mean, Punk's floor in USD terms like is really around 50K, like low. So I don't know if it ever gets there, but if it gets pretty close in
That's if they
USD
were at
terms,
15 or so.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, 15 is like the equivalent of roughly 60K, rounding up on ETH. So I think that like maybe that's max pain, but I don't know.
So what's interesting there is I see guys who, opinions I respect and, I think have come to trust. And I see people now calling for 5 to 10 ETH punks, which is, that's mind boggling. But in a way I see it. I'm like, if I pictured that they were like, I made a case to myself and I bought into what I was cooking or selling myself. I'm like, if I see punks at 15 ETH in a bear market, all of a sudden things are looking like they might get there in a bull market. Well, then how low can they really get? And then maybe that's how low can they really get in that next bear market if they're going to get this low in the bull. I at this point, as shocking as it sounds, 5 ETH might sound crazy. 10 ETH might not. If we don't catch support, if we just don't catch it, if we truly don't have enough buyers, if we truly don't have enough people who've been winning in this market, and I have a feeling we might not, it will not shock me to see him get 10, 15, which is crazy. I want to give a heads up here because I didn't realize this. So I've been looking at CryptoPunk listings on Magic Eden, and you guys who've been watching this show, the afternoon show, right? I've been going through counting how many punks are listed under 100 ETH. Under 30 ETH. And I'm counting 100, 110. And I was corrected today, guys. These aren't listings. And Jared, do you know this? You might know this. You've got a look in your eye like you're like, yeah, these ain't listings. But I didn't know this is basically is it NFTX? This is like NFTX, not listings, but it's their pool. It's like these prices changed. Yeah, dude, I didn't realize. I actually thought this actually gives me a little more confidence for right now. I thought I was looking at this. I'm like, my goodness, 100 punks are listed under 30 ETH. I thought we were in big trouble.
Yeah, I use Artacle, ARTACLE.io. It's a really good analytics platform that gives like actual up-to-date listings. I mean, if you get into it, it's pretty impressive. You can go into like full ownership statistics, how long they're holding. If you just type in CryptoPunks at the top.
Dude, I've never seen this.
Yeah, it's a really incredible website. You can go into like the analytics tab and it actually takes all the API from sales and it charts it. You can do it in USD timeframes. And then it's a very little known tab, but there's a really cool tab that's owners. So you can actually go into like the distribution and see like who owns how many and start doing discovery on wallets and holding diamond handedness. It's an interesting. I've learned a lot from this one.
Interesting. Do you feel like this is accurate? 3,600 punk owners.
I mean, there's probably some double ups on wallets, but I think it's slightly less. I think you're probably in the 25 to 2,800.
That's not as good as I was thinking. For like I get it. There were so many people who claimed and are sitting on just bags and bags of punks, but I think Beanie, I've seen him talk about this frequently. You've got a lot of guys who, these were basically free form or they got in so early and they've got a lot and they're in profit no matter what.
But there's on the flip side, there's somebody like Snowfro who was trying to collect a set, right? Meaning he has one of every type except the alien. And these are people who, and Snow's been a traditional set collector. He's very open about it. He has a set of autoglyphs, one of only 8. So he's been very open about it. Like you look at the top holders, right? There's Hudah, right? I mean, who knows what they're going to do, but Flamingo DAO, they're diamond handed. I mean, you just go down the list.
Dude, this is awesome.
Yeah, and then there's that NTFX. That's the pool that you're probably looking for.
Oh, here we go. Okay. And so
anyways,
those are the
really
listings we're seeing.
It's fun to kind of get in there and see where all these exist, where the risk, so to speak, exists. And to your original point, yes, somebody who's high up on that, they're in the profit. They could dump them. That's truly a risk. I think the question just becomes of understanding the profile behind the collectors and their motivations, right? Like, because what happened? OSF and Mando dumped what was it, 70 apes into a blur bid at one point. So this stuff is possible. I'm not saying it's not, but for me, the Squiggles has a similar issue, so to speak, that there's one holder with 1,000 Squiggles. That's 10% of the entire
Oh
supply.
wow.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine spending 30 ETH at the time? Like in hindsight, it looks so crazy. Like you spent 30 ETH on some like squiggly line, but do Chromie Squiggle, yeah. But at the end of the day, like that individual who it's very hard to figure out who it is, but some people have figured it out. They're not selling, and the couple times they have sold was to high level individuals for certain reasons.
Wait, is this the top holder or who was it specifically?
Yeah, who dis?
Okay. All right. Wow, almost 1,000. Wow. Dude, talk about conviction. That's beautiful.
And they're all fresh mints. Like that's what's crazy
Oh,
to me.
wow.
That like it's not like this person. And again, for context, a squiggle when it minted and Art Blocks opened was 0.035 ETH. It was the equivalent of like 20 or 30 bucks.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
So this individual spent about 30 ETH on their mints, which again at the time felt absolutely ludicrous, but now their collection's worth ungodly amounts of money.
I'm literally, so that's like I'm right now with my calculator calculating what theirs is worth at the floor price of Squiggles right now, which is around like 3.6, at least going by OpenSea. So basically, with a $12 million bag of Chromie Squiggles, which is absolutely incredible. I use Chromie Squiggles, okay, kind of like CryptoPunks are my barometer for the NFT space. Let's say the collectible space, but actually, I think they're so much more important. I think they're more of a barometer for the entirety of it, right? I think. I guess I've been saying I don't think we see NFTs really recover till we see punks recover, right? That's the collection that I will feel more confident about NFTs when I see that collection get support. Chromie Squiggles are that for me for art as well, though. When we see those, and I do feel like they're finding support more recently too, and you could probably shed some light on that. But is that an accurate barometer for the art space?
I would generally say yes. It's one of the most liquid collections, and it's one that's highly collected. So absolutely, it's a barometer I use. As a matter of fact, when we did the weekly updates on Collector's Corner, that was one of my data points. Is like what the weekend review for the Squiggles, right? Like how many sales, what revenue, highlighting sales, because I think it's important to not only see who's buying off the floor, but who's jumping the floor, right? Like what are people buying that may not be typical, and are people unwinding liquidity to make those bigger purchases?
Yeah, good points. I hadn't touched NFTX in a while, so Lemon saying this stuff is reminding me of actually how it works. I forgot all about it, where you can basically you're buying. Are you buying fractionalized NFTs over there on NFTX? Yeah, I think that's right, Lemon.
I believe part of the things you can just you can vault your asset, and then you get some sort of reward based on sales in and out of the pool. So let's say there's a 3% fee or whatever it is, then like as a staker, you get a portion of the trading sales. But the risk is that if you put a CryptoPunk in, you can take whatever you want out. So there's people who have, like, for Squiggles in particular, they'll put a Squiggle in and not realize that like somebody could take it. So they'll just go in and take dump their floor Squiggle in for a non-floor. So
Yeah.
it's a really interesting liquidity pool dynamic that they create.
It's so cool. I love it. I love seeing tech built around NFTs and the financialization of it. It's cool. I think it's incredibly fun, and I just think that we'll keep seeing those evolve. I can't wait to see the ERC 404 meta kind of take over, or doesn't have to take over. I just want to see that blossom. I love it. I love that idea of the 404s and merging fungible tokens with non-fungible tokens, bringing that extra liquidity. We're going to see one of these pop off one day, but I'd love to see that happen in an art collection. Like I often say, I'd love to see what Jack Butcher would do with an ERC 404 type of collection. I think the possibilities are endless for that. It would be a good time. By the way, this is like kind of scattered here, Jared, but do you do anything with runes? Are you in the runes ecosystem?
I'm not in the runes ecosystem right now.
Okay. Curious. Yeah, I'm not touching Lucid, by the way. I'm not minting anything at the. Well, there is one thing I'm minting, and I'm minting it today, and I can't fucking wait. But I'm not minting any ordinals right now, guys. with the market how it is now, I am happy to lose or miss out on something that does phenomenally. I'm happy to miss out on it just because I want to see that something can do that first. Then I'll feel like I'm a little more safe, getting back into collecting mode. Um, Narcos, I think I am gonna mint. It's cheap enough. I think it's point oh oh. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Point oh oh three. I think it's point oh oh three Bitcoin to mint. So I'm probably gonna grab that today. Tickle, you're minting Lucid. Okay, interesting. Yeah, 404s. Freaking love them. Okay, today though, Jared, do you know what mint I'm looking forward to today?
Is it the one on FX Hash?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, I didn't mean to do this, dude. I didn't mean to spend most of yesterday's episode talking about it, but I love it so much.
Oh, I was eavesdropping in on. I think I love the concept. I love the interoperability, the cross chain aspect of art. I think, shout out to a good buddy of mine, Patrick Amadon, did a really great release where he had, different pieces. I think it's disobedient for across a lot of different chains. I think that, like, bringing awareness to that. The one, I mean, you kind of were touching on it yesterday. The one issue I have with this mint is finding your pair, right? And then, like, what happens if somebody mints it and you're not able to access it? There's this really interesting aspect of collecting the pair, but at the end of the day, if it's so hard to find or inaccessible, like, does it frustrate people on the long term? So I'm the entangled nature of that is kind of like what I'm really excited to see how that plays out. And look, Bjorn, I love their work. It's, I've collected other work from them, so I'm excited to see how this all plays out myself.
Yeah. This is another one we will kind of like the art blocks. I guess it wasn't art blocks technically; it was art blocks engine. But the Red Bull Racing, the Velocity Series 2 mint from a couple weeks ago. It's another big mint that I know a lot of people are looking at that will tell us a lot about the space. It's, again, are collectors ready to open up the wallet and start collecting and spending money? It's like, given that it's a Dutch auction, what price point are they wanting to collect at? This one extra interesting that it's multi-chain. So are they wanting to collect on Ethereum? Are they not wanting to collect on Tezos? Or has sentiment really changed over there? This is a really interesting one.
Allows you to lock or like load up 2 wallets, so you it's pretty easy to buy with like whatever currency that's needed. So I'm to your point. I think this is the punchline that you're going for is, does ETH mint out before Tez? Does Tez sit there? Like, is there a inclination to one over the other? And that's the dynamic. In addition to the collecting, there's a lot of moving pieces. And to hit on the Kettle Galen releases last week, we touched on it, and it was one of those things. And I said, like, I'm interested to see how it goes. And I think what the market is telling you is, like, this is not the rip and bull market where you can charge whatever you want.
Right.
And it was encouraging to see it mint out at 0.1. I know it's a far cry from the 0.5 or whatever it started at. But that being said, it's encouraging. And I think that it's a data point for me to say, like, hey, great art at a great price still has a lot of legs and longevity.
That was it. It was exactly that. It taught us that, yeah, it's the prices that are concerned. It's not that people are not engaged. Clearly, people were watching it. Clearly, because as soon as they dropped the price, which originally the bottom was going to be, I think, was it 0.5 ETH? I think that was the bottom initially.
For Decision Matrix, the resting price was 0.5. Yeah,
0.5, right? Okay, and it kind of sat there. I want to say there was 10 or 15 minted. It wasn't much, but when they dropped it, maybe it was like even 20. It was, but considerably lower than the max supply of, I think, 377.
Yeah.
But when they dropped it to 0.1, boom, game over. Sold very, very quickly. Again, I learned from that man, there's still collectors out there. This kind of goes back to the beanie comment. Only speculators, no. I don't think so. I think those were genuine collectors who just weren't ready to really.
This is the thing about Beanie's tweets, right? Like, there's a vein of truth to this, but then this absolute, like, I try not to live life by absolutes, right? Like, nobody's always this or never that, right? But when you can say no genuine collectors, like, I'm a genuine collector, right? Like, am I also an investor and a builder and all this other stuff? Yeah, but like the art that I have in my personal wallet, I love, right? Like, I have one of my favorite pieces is actually on Object, and I think I bought it for like 6 Tez. It's an artist that has like little to no notoriety. It was something when I was scrolling through recent mints, I saw it and I was like, man, this is freaking great. I love it. I love it. and I follow them and I buy art every once in a while, and it was 6 tes. So I that's the part of the absolute of like no genuine collectors, only speculators. Those two absolutes rub me the wrong way. But then you go back to his original statement, and it's like, and that is actually has a lot of truth to it, you know?
It's like when people call the NFT space and the crypto space full of nothing but scammers. A lot of truth to it, but there's a lot of us. There's a lot of builders here. There's a lot of people who are genuinely here because they love the community, because they are collecting all that good stuff. But it's the exact same thought, there. I think it's they're pretty much the same kind of statement. No genuine collectors, only speculators. And it's like, well, again, to your point, it is both. It's just the other ones are probably louder. They're probably louder and they get the most attention. And just like the scammers are the really, really loud ones and getting all that attention. Tickle, I want to show you something really cool here, because when we talked about this yesterday, I think a lot of us are on this exact same page. A little frustrating that if you mint 2 entangles, you're not getting an entangled pair, or you're not guaranteed to. In fact, you're most likely not going to just by playing the odds. We did get a cool little update that even if they aren't matched pairs, there's actually still some what's the word I'm looking for? There is some entanglement between them, which is kind of cool. So check this out. I don't know if you guys caught this yet. Okay. Interaction between windows not confined to entangled pairs. It doesn't entangle the same way. I don't think you're going to get this reaching out effect between them, but they actually do interact with each other, which I think is super cool. This changes everything to me again. I'm like, okay, I definitely want to get a couple, because now I don't just want the entangled pair. I'd like a third to mix in there with them. I might even want a fourth to mix in with each side. So to me, this changes a lot. The fact that there's that interaction, because I just love interactive NFTs. I love interactive art. And this means if I get 2, I can play with the interactivity.
Yeah, there's an old GM DAO project called Catharsis, where it looks like Jackson Pollock paint, but they were done in such a way that like you can collect adjacent ones and do a diptych or a triptych, and they would, like, the paint splatters would actually roll through.
So cool.
Yeah. And I loved it. I minted a few. I bought a few on secondary, and the issue was like finding the pair for my diptych. It was just, it got to be not only a pain. It was really hard. But this is really cool. I love how like you don't need the actual entangled pair to engage. That's a really cool dynamic that I love.
Yeah. That completely changed it. Any of the frustration I had. And honestly, that made me hesitate a little. I was thinking, okay, instead of minting 2 like I had planned, it's just going to be 1 now. I felt pretty confident that that's where I was going to settle, like just 1. Because I need to save some firepower maybe to go chase the pair on secondary. But again, now just seeing that you can entangle it with another, and it adds this other dynamic. It adds these colors in where I feel like the pairs are picked out ahead of time, and they probably are to match certain traits and colors. And I think it's really cool if you can now add any little wrinkle to it, a whole different kind of color scheme to any. I think this really opens up the collection. So I feel like I'm like fully back in now, wanting to mint 2. It's going to come down to price again, which I'm excited. I haven't sat there watching a mint live in a long time, just to watch it and have the trigger finger ready to click mint, right? I haven't done that in forever, and I'm excited to get to do that again today. I'll tell you the one thing here's another little point of, it's not frustration, total wrong word, but it's a wish I had, which is I wish this at least 24 hours ahead of the actual go live time was published on FX Hash so I could click through iterations, where I know they want to save the experience for, everybody at the same time, like let it all out of the bag at once. I am the kind of guy who's going to sit here for hours and hours and click through iterations. I want to feel the collection before I buy. I really want to know as much as I can about it before. And when you don't do that, you run the risk of the collection minting out by the speculators, not the collectors. The speculators might get it first and before I have a chance to really digest it all. Yeah, so not thrilled about that.
So this is something that I was like really my little one made an appearance today, but he's Black Panther
Black
today.
Panther, heck yeah. Oh my goodness, I love that mask.
So the having run a platform and knowing what artists do, some like to preview their algorithm and some don't, right? In the case, and I think that as a platform, it's one of the biggest challenges, because as a collector, similar to you, I wanted to like put an algorithm out early, right? But sometimes the artists like to have a wow factor around the collection, and I think that that's there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like like having a full reveal instead of it just being kind of trickled out, and you kind of can't control the momentum of it at that point. So I get it. I think it's just it's a decision each artist and platform has to make. Yeah, I totally get it. It's, in this kind of market, it probably matters a little less. I don't think we're going to have the speculators just jumping there and minting it out, at the top. It's not going to be gone in an instant, which I think will give me that time to click through. I really want to click through and again, understand the patterns, colors, all that good stuff. Because that means everything for secondary. As soon as these start hitting secondary, I already know what it is that's out there. I know a little bit about what's kind of rare, what's a really, really unique one that I just have to grab. Somebody put it on the floor because they didn't know, they didn't put that time in. So it doesn't eliminate that, but it makes that a little harder. I guess we'll see how it goes. I always thought it was cool to have collectors revealing. I thought that was an interesting little marketing angle, that collectors who spend that time clicking through and finding stuff, they're tweeting the stuff out, and it's kind of getting you some organic engagement that way. There's pros and cons to both sides. I'm sure of that.
Look, I'm like you with art blocks and their engines. I mean, I remember going through the Anti-Cyclone and Memories of Chilin and just understanding that algorithm front and back before it even released, and just buying stuff on secondary. So like, I love that as a collector. It's also, artist wishes and being able to balance that. I think that's the balance, and it's also part of the fun when you can have that rush right at the secondary release.
Yeah. Yep. So this is dropping now in, I think, 2.5 hours. 2.5. I think I'm gonna stream it like when it goes live. Again, I think I'm just gonna be sitting here clicking through those iterations, watching the price drop. Let me see if I got this right. 1 p.m. Eastern. So noon my time. Yeah, 2.5 hours. Yeah, I gotta get some funds moved over and get ready for it. But I cannot wait to see this right here. I love it. I think it's gonna be super interesting. The staggering of the two sides, right? I think the Tezos one mints 10 minutes later, so it's like, are people holding off on the ETH side till the Tezos one goes, and they want to see if Tezos starts dip into this? It's like, there's an interesting game to it all, and I really, really love that part of this art scene. Again, it's been months and months and months since I felt that, so I'm in. Any of you guys? Yeah, that's Bjorn's work. Are you guys planning on minting at this point? I'm really curious. And Jazz, that's a really good question. I know FX Hash does accept credit card payments, but it might just be on secondary. So let's check that out on the spot. Let's look for a new mint here.
Yeah, I know for sure secondary. I've played with it a few times.
They have it right on fresh new mints here, so they do have credit card mints. Yeah, it seems like they added that to primary sales now, which is pretty darn cool. Yeah, Tickle, that changed a lot, didn't it? Like, I'm right there with you. The fact that you just might get one that just is hanging all by himself, all lonely, and you don't get to do any of the cool part with it. The fact that doesn't exist now, that you can mint two, and they're going to do something at least together. Yeah, I think that did it for me. So, Tickle, I think we'll be minting live together, which will be a lot of fun. And Lemon.
Yeah, the Tezos blockchain in particular is a little bit like slow to update on the mint count. So I would just say if it's about halfway minted out, be on the lookout for, in the Dutch auction.
Look what just made it to the site. All right, this is going to kill my video a little bit, so this might not be good to show. I wonder if we can start going through iterations now. All right, guys, bear with the little lag here. It's like pretty resource intensive, but okay, it's linking us to his website. Okay, hang on.
It's interesting that they exist as two separate collections because of the chain.
Yeah. Oh, dude, and did you happen to see the visualizer?
I did. Yeah, I've been playing around with it myself.
You can play with this? Oh my goodness, dude. Oh wow. So I saw the ciphered video. I don't know if it was posted yesterday. Yesterday's at least when I saw it, but just seeing the visualizer for the first time, I'm like, oh, really cool. This is a way to kind of track down your pair. I was hoping it would show kind of like wallets that hold it, but I didn't realize any part of it would be interactive. Oh my God. Dude, I'm the kind of guy that just wants to click around and explore, and that's why I like the interactive stuff, the interactive generative art pieces specifically. This is incredible.
Yeah, I love when artists put up this much of the story behind it. I think it requires more attention. I don't know if it's getting the attention it deserves, but all of this information is out there, and it's just fun to understand the logic and quite frankly, the amount of work that went into this. I mean, it's nice to appreciate something that is aesthetically pleasing, but the sheer brilliance that somebody has to deploy against this. I mean, again, not to always bring it back to 8 but when Rich and Rick did ISO Metro, they had 65,000 lines of code. I mean, these are complex systems that like pop out, and it's like, it's nice to see, but when you start to see kind of like the process behind it, it makes it really makes it incredible.
Well, I like that you mentioned that, by the way, because this is the thing that you bring here that just very few people would really know. So it's like this insight that I think you're uniquely qualified to share. 65,000 lines of code. What would you say is like normal? And I know that's hard to probably say what is normal, but
It's usually 2 to 3,000 ish. High end is 6, but like it's just to get the geometry for isometro in particular and the traits and blah blah blah. And I would imagine this one's probably fairly complex too.
where can I show isometro, by the way?
There's a gallery on 8 Art. There's also available on OpenSea.
All right, let me pull it up. I'll pull up the 8 site.
But yeah, I mean, not to always bring it back to 8
No, please do. I as often as you want and need.
Yeah, I seeing behind the scenes, I have a better appreciation for this, and I actually respect. So that's the last mint.
This one right here.
Yeah, which is awesome. But point being, there's a lot that goes into making this sort of stuff, and it's exciting to see it from a different perspective.
Yeah, the more that's shared about that kind of stuff, the better. It's like again, I'm still a baby in terms of like, art in general, generative art, all of it together. It's still like, man, I like crave that behind the scenes perspective. Like understanding their process. To me, it really like fleshes out the work itself. It really helps my understanding of it. These are incredible, by the way. But yes, wow, 65,000 lines of code. I wonder if Bjorn has shared. Well, I bet he has, but it shared kind of more of his process. Again, I think he has. He's been making the rounds doing interviews. He was on the Waiting to Be Signed podcast. He's been on a few others, I feel like. I'm going to try to get him on here, which would be so fun. Good morning, Marty. Brother, I feel like it's been a bit since I've seen you. Good to see you, brother.
We've had some conversations about this, but the access to artists these days is really incredible. You should reach out to them and give them a platform because they deserve it,
Yeah, dude, they absolutely deserve it. Yeah, I want to reach out to him. I would, definitely would like more artists on here. Cool thing too, dude. I'm starting to work with an editor who's been chopping up these videos and making shorts. And man, he and I connected over art and FX hash. That's his jam. That's the thing he loves the most. So I have a feeling this show is it's not gonna change and become a solely art focused show. But I think with him and I loving it like we do, I would picture a lot more art talk here, which is just fine with me, man. So I'm looking for, okay, what I'm used to seeing on these mints is something where you can click generate or preview or whatever. I'm looking to see if that exists anywhere yet, because normally on FX hash, when it is live on the site, normally that's you get it there, right? Also interesting, are these, I'm looking to see why that blue bar is there, if these are like
Yeah, that just showed up as fully minted out. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe they're, that would be weird. I don't think they're pre-minted, but why does it say it's opened? I wonder if they made a little mistake here. Hang on. All right. You guys know we do this all live. I'm hopping in the FX hash Discord to see if there's a little boo-boo, if they maybe listed it early. It happens. It happens from time to time. All right, so let's peek and see. Oh, okay, hang on. They actually addressed this right there. So let me share my screen. This is why I think streaming during mints is so much fun. It's like they can be pretty intense, right? I mean, especially if there's a lot of people who are interested in it. It's really intense with people watching the prices. In fact, one of my favorite things is when it is okay. The screen you can't keep up. Everybody's typing, everyone's excited, everybody's hyped to go, and you're waiting for the countdown until mint time, and then silence. Silence while everybody's busy minting. It's just there's so many fun little moments during these mints, and again, I'm wondering if we're going to get that a bit today. It's going to be really fun. Here's NFT
Your
Biker.
Discord notifications is overwhelming. My OCD won't allow me to have any, but
It's a losing battle, dude. I've given up. I mean, at this point, I don't think I check many servers, maybe 2 or 3. I probably should just leave them all.
No. But on a side note, I'm gonna have to probably hop in a little bit to go take care of the little dudes. But
yeah,
coming back to the beanie tweet, for me at least, I think one of the things that's very intriguing, we were talking about it off camera, and I'll kind of touch on it, is the word "and," right? Like I think that, like a lot of things can be true all at the same time, and I think that that's the important part of what this beanie tweet is pulling out for me.
couldn't agree more. And I'll tell you what, I think that's a perspective. Okay, unfortunately, maybe only comes with like age and experience. The and thing. So many people are so firm in this, it is this or that, and the and thing is so important. So I'm with you there, man. I do think this space is full of fantastic collectors, and I think that base of collectors only going to grow. I don't think we've lost collectors, to be honest. I think they've become a little more quiet and selective and all that. But in fact, I'll show it in the data afterwards after Jared takes off here. But I'll show you in the data that the collector base has remained steady throughout the bear market into this kind of weird time. I'm not calling it a bull because it's not, but collectors are here. I think once you believe in NFTs, I don't think that belief ever goes away because this is a very real thing that's happening. So,
and I think price is normalized, right? Like, I mean, we talked about it off camera, but yes, there is some speculation. Yes, like, elite art should command a premium over time, but it's something that takes time to build that base, and I think we have that base in place.
Dude, couldn't agree more. Actually, I know you got a boogie, so I'll show you real quick just while you are here for a quick second. The orange and blue is our unique buyers and sellers across blockchains here, and man, it's been just pretty darn steady. A little dip in that bear market we had, a little dip at the end of 2022, but other than that, we are not far off from peak levels here. Sales are different, but as far as like unique people participating here, it's not that different. I think collectors are here in a big, big way. I do. I think it's, again, only growing. I think we'll see that later this year, next year. It's going to be really fun. But Jared, dude, man, thank you for joining. I love it. I love chatting with you about art, the market, all that stuff. You're very well versed in all this. So great insights. Appreciate you coming, man.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting time, honestly. I've told this to a couple people privately, but the downside risk versus the upside potential just seems asymmetric at this point, and that gives me faith. The other thing I'd encourage people to think about is time horizons, right? Like, it's nice to mint, it's nice to flip for a 2 or 3x, but I think that some of this art really requires, the network effect, and it requires the time for the artists to cement themselves as like these legendary people, right? Like Picasso, Pollock, Warhol. It didn't happen overnight. It's about the long, continual, and gradual climb into that ascension as a premier artist. So, give it time. But I think if you're astute enough, you can take a step back and in these times see some of the projects and or artists that are starting to pull away from the crowd, and that's what gets me up every single day, and it gets me excited. There's some real opportunity here.
I love it, dude. Maybe next week you can bring some up and coming artists that you're looking at that you think that should be on people's radar, guys who you think are just bringing something really unique to this space. I would love to hear that from you.
Yep. 100%. I'll come in. I'll how about this? I'll do like 5 that are maybe on people's radar but need more attention, and then 5 that are maybe not in people's, I'll call it, immediate timeline. So
hell yeah,
there's some that come to mind right now. It's mind blowing how good some of these artists are.
Oh, dude, yes, can't wait.
More eyes. That's what we need. And honestly, I think that, I don't know, I'll do a shameless plug, but I had put a post out yesterday about wanting to speak at VCon. It's not just for my ego, but it's largely due to the fact that I want to try to onboard and evangelize art across a lot of different fronts. And I thought VCon would be a really good place for onboarding new people into art and just sharing it. I think we're all emotional beings, so if you could like or retweet that, that would help me just get the VCon people's attention again. Who
Joe, if
knows?
you're
I'm shooting my
listening,
shot. We'll see what happens.
Joe, do it. Help us, buddy.
So,
I'll poke him. We'll poke him afterwards too. So,
but anyways, I love the chat. Thank you so much for having me on every single Thursday. I'm looking forward to it because this is it's so exciting. We could sit here and talk art for hours and hours and hours.
It would never end. It would literally never end. So yeah, dude. Can't wait to see you. We'll see you next Thursday.
Feel free to share the Beeple story we talked about offline.
Oh, dude, that's perfect. Dude, it blew my mind. Yeah, Jared shared with me ahead of time something that he noticed when he was in Charleston, South Carolina recently. Shocked me.
Well, I'll actually just speak to it for a little bit right now. Like, one of the things is, so I took a little bit of time to refresh, which we talked offline was much needed. But I was in Charleston, South Carolina, and everybody from, I'll call it staff at the places that I was eating, or all the way up to art museums. I was asking if anybody knew who Beeple was, and I was really surprised that nobody knew. I mean, literally up until the last museum, it was zero. The count was zero, and I probably asked 3,000 times. And it wasn't until one of the league curators for the museum came in and was like, "Oh, we've done something with Beeple, blah, blah, blah." And it was really intriguing to me that there's an artist that is so essential to our space, and we evangelize, oh, they've $69 million sale at a large auction house, and they accomplish so much. They sell their one-of-ones for, well, not public amounts, but the point being is
those aren't public?
Well, it's not public how much they charge for a one of the one-of-one everydays, I guess.
Really?
Is my point.
I never knew that.
It's 29. He sold the astronaut something every day for 29 million. This is an established artist. It's not like it's a one and done, one hit wonder. And I was really incredible. I was amazed to see how little knowledge in his backyard, where his studio exists. Granted, he's newer to the space, but that being said, it was just an affirmation to me that we're still early. And the fact is, and then even the league curator for the museum and I were talking, and they were saying, there's a lot of, we're in this transitory phase where the digital art and traditional art are starting to engage, but it's just taking time, and people are coming to accept it. And I actually think Beeple is going to be one of those that helps transcend the balance between traditional and digital with pieces like this and what he's doing and for the space. So
his events too, I think, are just they're wild. Like I call Beeple like really the soul of this space, and I believe that. I think he is, but those events he throws, like the Punks Party, like the upcoming Pepe Party, the Pepe what is it, Pepe Fest? I mean, just awesome. Like, this guy just is the culture, and it's infectious, and it's these IRL events that I think maybe is going to bridge that gap. If there's a community of art collectors there in Charleston, South Carolina, I think it's got to be just a matter of time till they catch on to what's going on in their own home. It's pretty wild to hear that, though, man.
Yeah, I thought there'd be like, I don't know. I wasn't expecting everybody to know Beeple, but maybe like a 25-75 split. But it was zero. I mean, like zero.
That's I thought he'd be a local celeb. I really did. Like, everyone knows him. Him being on their news, like their local news station. I just had that assumption. It's kind of mind-boggling.
Me too, but it is what it is. And
we're early.
That's just to me, it's an and we're early, and like our echo chamber is amazing, but we need to also be cognizant of, like where we are in the adoption timeline, and it presents opportunity, right? Like, that's what's exciting to me, is like we have the ability to pick out the Picassos and stuff before everybody.
Don't miss that opportunity, guys. Like, the point of that, not financial advice, it's just don't disengage, right? It's important to just pay attention, stay engaged, keep watching what's going on as this space grows, evolves, all that good stuff. Just be a part of it. It's kind of that simple.
Good news. I think I bought myself another 8 to 10 minutes. So you're stuck with me, my man.
Good stuff. Hey, that's perfect. That's awesome. I'm glad we got the story too, by the way. Again, it's shocking. Like absolutely shocking.
Yeah, it was, I'm trying to like still process it. I had long flights to get back home and all this other stuff, but the reality is for me, as much as I want to believe, I eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff, I want to believe that we're further along than we are. But again, it's just that reaffirmation, and it's kind of a call to action, which is like every one of us have to do our part to evangelize what we believe in, right? Like whether it's a particular chain, like you brought up runes. Is it Tezos art? Is it just art in general? Like going out there and being a good steward, I think is one of those like core ethos that I'm really trying to lean into, because we can only onboard more people when the good actors on a long enough timeline outweigh the bad actors, right?
How would you, like, I'm thinking about this, how would you onboard a normie? And I don't mean that in any kind of shitty way, but I'm still going to say it like that. How do you onboard a normie to, I guess, crypto art on chain? Yeah, like I feel like everybody in here is crypto native. Do you think we've won over just your average day Joe? Have we won any of them over into this space and turned people who maybe have never collected art suddenly into an art collector? Or are we like, are we only getting crypto people in right now?
I mean, I don't look. I came for speculative nature, so like Beanie's right in that sense, right? But I stayed for the art. To me, it's about getting more people access and realizing that if you can get some portion of people to stay for the art, I mean, there's a reason why art's on the walls of every single coffee shop that you go to, right? It's because it's emotional. People are drawn to it. Like we're emotional beings, and I think that to answer your question, how do I do it? I think it depends on the individual, right? Like I run a investment fund, so high net worth individuals, accredited investors. It's about getting exposure, discovering a Basquiat before they become widely accepted as a Basquiat, and playing to some you know, financial incentives in that sense. But for my normie friends, like a lot of times, like, dude, I just gift art. It's like, hey, let's set up. And this is
I
why I
love
love
that.
Tezos art in general. Is I bought like a bunch of Zancan editions, back in the day, and it was like I was giving them away, just like and I to say I'm like the most generous person in the world is I'm not trying to evangelize myself as being like amazing, but what I admired about some of the early individuals like a Snowfro is he was giving Ethereum as a birthday present to his friends' children. He was giving punks when they were 150 bucks to friends. And then to be able to like have this asset that's now worth $100,000 that you were gifted for free, I think at least just as a data point of like, oh, this is kind of cool, right?
So that I had forgotten about that, but Snowfro was and still is up until very recently, and like he still is this, but incredibly generous with Chromie Squiggles. He would give them away to builders and people he would meet in this space, just people who he would respect and would get to know. I know, like our founder at Crypto Slam was one of those people who received a Chromie Squiggle from him, and I know he treasures it. It's that's the spirit here in this space, and similarly, like FX Hash, the Tezos ecosystem allowed me to even do that, right? Like I was able to collect all these free editions and one Tez editions, like these very cheap pieces, and I could just, man, I could just buy and collect and collect. And because of that, I was able to just very freely give them away. And I love that. And man, do I miss it. And actually, now that I say that, now as the words come out of my mouth, this is probably the perfect time to be doing that again. I mean, it doesn't matter maybe what I paid for something at this point. I've got so much art that is sitting there, and I love it, and I enjoy looking at it. And all the time, dude, I pull up my Tezos account, my wallet, and I just look through. It's like going down memory lane, just looking through all these phases of art where we were collecting. There's so much there. I think it's time to start giving some stuff away again. I miss that.
Yeah, and I think so for me that's kind of like when or even like I travel a lot, like it's being on the plane, talking to the person next to me, pulling up my wallet, showing them a squiggle and like the colors cycle through. Like these aren't just, to your point, static images. It's about really sharing your passion and letting the passion show through. And my hope is that it sticks with somebody long enough to do it. Like I said, I give away some art to friends. I've my co-host on Palettes and Perspective, it was his birthday the other day. I gave him an isometro from my collection. I
Oh,
mean,
super cool.
like it's not for the faint of heart. That's still a $300, $400, $500 piece, but it's like, and he's already in Web3, but like to continue that passion, like to support good people, right? Like I think these are the things that like it's about the progression. So
Do you have the right account pulled up here?
yeah,
Is
that's
this where you're
Collector's
showing us?
Corner. That's Aston's stuff.
Yeah, guys,
We
check that out. Give that a follow too. Really, really
yeah.
like great host, obviously. We got one here, but awesome guys, incredibly knowledgeable. And really, really good show here too. I'm going to drop a link here in the chat.
The other thing I was gonna say is in the chat is, the Squiggle Dow podcast that I've been doing. Like, there's some real heavy hitters. I mean, like Raoul Paul asked, or not asked him. We just did Ryan with one of one.
When was the Raoul Paul one? That was pretty recent, I think, right?
Yeah, that was. I think they released it 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Damn.
But I mean, just like I've had the opportunity the real pleasure of being able to interview some of the most brilliant minds in this space, and that's not to get too preachy now that I am an old man, but like that's kind of the beauty of the space right now is like we're like 1 to 2 degrees of separation from just about everybody in this space. So, you can reach out and make some really meaningful connections that I think in the next, my theory is in the next 5 to 10 years age extremely well.
Yeah. These guys, by the way, they're so awesome. There's some really heavy hitters in this space who are just more than willing to share what they know. It's almost like they feel it's their duty to share what they know, right? And help shepherd people into this space in the safest way possible into, I think, some stuff that actually has some substance. I just noticed that about this space. It feels very unique, very different. The spirit of this place is very, very good.
Well, in the reason why I bring up the podcast with Ryan is because he is in this really unique space where he transcends both a traditional and digital art world. And he kind of goes into it in greater detail than I had originally imagined. But part of his business plan is financial, but he's also the owner. He helped place Rafik into the MoMA for that beautiful.
Oh, wow.
And then he's the owner of that Beeple, God, I don't know why I forget the name. The walking astronaut.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Human One? Is that Human One?
Human One. Thank you. So, his fund, one of one, is basically collecting these like incredible,
that's a wild
incredible pieces. And then they do some like really creative financing stuff behind the scenes. I don't know how much I want to blow up his spot, but he goes into about the importance of integrating into it. And the reason why I brought this up is it's a great segue into what we were talking about, which is how do you talk to normie people? And he gave some really great advice. If you're willing and able to do a little bit of a listen, it's a fun listen. And he is so he's being very humble on the podcast, but he's ahead of just about every single curve. And it's not like once or twice he got lucky. I mean, just a certifiable badass in the digital space. And I really encourage people to listen to it once or twice. This is a really interesting point that the clip that's up, he talks about like value accruing to the top. It's something that I've just been ideating over for a long, or like ever since he planted the seed. I mean, I've been like talking to Chat GPT, just trying to ideate around like a lot of different concepts of value accrual. I've been charting out all kinds of stuff. Like there's some really just the amount of like in the insight he has provided is incredible.
So I watched this and I think it was this one. Do you have multiple clips? Do you have multiple little shorts clipped out of this interview, or is this maybe the one?
I don't control that account, so okay. I believe they've done multiple clips, but
it's just funny. I've watched at least one clip from this interview without it even clicking in my head that it was from your podcast. Like it did, something didn't click, and it was like, incredibly insightful stuff. What do you say we end the show just playing this clip here?
Let's do it.
Yeah, guys, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to his show. Absolutely incredible stuff. Of course, give Jared a follow. Let me pull it up real quick. For you guys. Dude, we're so lucky to have you here.
I'm lucky to be here. I appreciate you giving me the platform to just share some of what's on my mind and just talk art. I mean, this is what I love doing. So, I feel privileged to be able to have this opportunity. Thank you.
It's a blast, and it is my honor, man. Give Jared a follow over on X, guys. Jared_POZ. I think I got that right.
Yep.
Boom. Make sure you're following SlamX as well, guys. A lot more content coming, more shows coming. God, there's so much I'm sitting on that I can't say yet, and I can't wait to say it, man. But definitely make sure you're following along, guys. Some really, really cool stuff coming. Let's end it on that clip. Again, some words of wisdom, some insight, it sounds like, into the collectible or art space. Let's check it out, guys. Hope your day's great. I will see you guys at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, though, on the afternoon show, now titled Redacted AF. I think that's what we're going with. I think so. Redacted AF. We'll see you guys there.
particularly in art and collecting. So this is true of like collectibles like Pokemon or other categories of collecting, similar to art. Over time, a lot of the value accrues to the upper crust of the entire category, while the 95% or more sort of wash away. And I think, for better, for worse, and in the long run, it'll be for better. We are seeing that in NFTs, where there's a small collection of very important, iconic, innovative cultural works that continue to capture people's attention, and I think will continue to hold and accrue significant value.
Love it, dude. Zoom out. Just zoom out, guys. I think everything is coming exactly as we envisioned it years ago when you had your aha moment with NFTs, when it all clicked. Nothing changed. In fact, tools are just getting better. Tools are getting better. The user base is getting smarter, all that stuff. Really, really great things on the horizon here. So we'll end there, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like always, appreciate the hell out of you. And Jared, that goes for you too, man. Again, honored to have you here. Dude, hope your day's fantastic.
Back at you, brother. Thank you so much.
We'll see you next week. And guys, I'll see you tomorrow morning if you don't tune in this afternoon. Hope to see you there, though. See you guys.